Hello, 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 and welcome to another conversation with JR. The T for this discussion is: are you living your authentic life? Or better yet, let me rephrase that. Are you being your authentic self? You see, I believe it's important to make the distinction between who you are, what you do, and the different roles we fulfill in life. For example, what I mean by the different roles: some of us are mothers and fathers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, nieces. That is a role that you fulfill in life. But is that who you are? Some people become so deeply engrossed in achieving a title, whether it be at work or whether it be in a religious organization, or they're striving for that six-figure salary. Yes, I'm bringing that subject up again, that six-figure salary, because I just recently made a podcast talking about the sacrifices that people are willing to make to earn a six-figure salary. But however, let me get back to this topic here about being your authentic self. When people are striving to move up the so-called corporate ladder, sometimes what happens is that people lose sight of who they are, or they're not living a life of purpose. When I say living a life of purpose, do you enjoy what it is that you're doing in your profession, in your career, on your job, or are you just doing it to go through the motions to make the money in order to survive? And then there are those individuals who never discovered their authentic self. What happens is, to these individuals, they fall prey to society's misconception of who they should be, and some cultural traditions that dictate the path people should continue on. In other words, they're still practicing some, not being disrespectful to anybody religious or anybody culture, but people are still practicing some, traditions that are so outdated that they just don't make any sense anymore. Society is built on brainwashing people to believe that the sum of their life and their self-worth, their self-esteem, is wrapped up in the grind, career, class status, and income, particularly that six-figure salary income. Most people believe that you cannot be happy unless you're earning six figures. The problem is that people are blindly driven by materialism, connecting what they do, how much they earn, what they own, where they live, and their car that they drive. This becomes the sum of their identity. People have lost themselves in job titles, and church titles, and roles that they fulfill, other roles besides that they fulfill, like mother, wife, husband, or caretaker. Yes, I am a mother, but is that all that I am? You're a husband, you're a wife, but is that all who you are? Is that where you find your identity? That you've been someone's wife or husband for so long, 10, 15, 20 years, that you don't even know who your authentic self is, because you have been so wrapped up in this role of wife, mother, grandmother. Just think about that. In the quest to achieve whatever version of your American dream is, because everybody's after that American dream, some people live behind their authentic self and their life dreams and purpose. I hear some women say, my only dream and my only goal and my only purpose is to be someone's wife and to be a mother, and that's all I want to do. That's their identity. That's the only way that they identify themselves. I created a podcast titled The Cost of a Six-Figure Salary. It's on Spotify. You could also go to Conversations with JR on my Facebook page. And I asked listeners how much of themselves are they willing to sacrifice to achieve professional success? What does professional success look like to them? Are they doing it for individual self-gratification? Are they doing it for outward appearance? Be careful about striving for, a higher class status and wanting to rub elbows with the upper crust. I know a lot of, I'm African American, so a lot of African American people, they want to move up the income ladder and the class status ladder because they want to rub elbows with the upper crust, because no one wants to live in the slums. No one wants to live around the ghetto with ghetto people. That's their thinking. I want you to remember this. The devil wears Prada. And the reason why a lot of people who are in the upper crust move away from working class and lower class and middle class people is because they don't want to rub elbows with you, because you are not being your authentic self. And once you put on that mask of pretense, let's talk about that mask of pretense. You may not be able to take it off because you're so busy living, dwelling, connecting deeply to what you do, to who you are, how much you make, to who you are. As quiet as it's kept, rich people don't go around and wealthy people don't go around talking about how much they make and the neighborhood that they live in and what they drive and how they can afford the latest Michael Kors bag or Prada or Terry Burke. They don't go around talking about that. Only people who have something to prove deeply engross themselves in achieving certain situations in life so that they can talk about it, so that they can brag about it, so they can, get into their car and drive through certain neighborhoods, to make people see that, they have arrived, they have made it. But the question of this podcast is, again, are you being your authentic self? Do you know who you are? It's great to earn a six-figure salary if you can. It's great to live in a beautiful neighborhood and a nice house if you can afford to pay those bills without stressing yourself out. You see, that's what happened with a lot of people. They put on this mask, they put on this pretense, they put on this facade, like all is well, and they have this big house and they can afford the latest car, and they are so broken emotionally, mentally, and psychologically. They're stressed out, they're in debt. Behind closed doors, they are pulling their hair out. I think that the reason why I'm bringing this subject up is because for many years, I did not live a life on purpose. I didn't live a life with a purpose. Besides getting up every day, joining a rat race, waiting for that paycheck to pay my bills and to do it all over again. I didn't know what it meant to have purpose. I didn't know what it meant to tap into my creativity. I didn't know what it meant to really know who I am, my authentic self, because I was busy trapped like so many people in society, allowing what I see in society to become my truth and to become my story and to become my narrative. And it's only through traumatic experiences, disappointment, people letting me down, so many other various experiences. But once I got to myself, when I say to myself, detaching, people just do not understand the importance of peace and detaching, being with yourself, meditating. For me, I read the Bible a lot, pray a lot, and listen to myself. And it was only when I just let go of all these dysfunctional, intimate relationships and dysfunctional people in my family and let go of these one-sided friendships where I wasn't getting anything out of it, that I understood that I was not living life with a purpose, on purpose, with a purpose, and that I was not being true to me, and I was not living my authentic truth. I learned a lot of things about myself, and it was powerful. Oh my goodness, so powerful. People are so caught up now in social media and reality shows, and they're blocking out their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own emotions. And they're so busy talking about the stars and reality and gossip. This is how society is blinding you so that you will not know your own truth and that you will not understand that you are caught up in a trap. I realized that with myself. And yes, I detached from social media. The only social media I have is because I have this brand. And I want to have real, true communication and discussions with people so that they can open their eyes and understand that there is a distinction to be made. Question: can you turn off when you leave work? Turn off that person that you are at work and go to your home with your family or your wife or your husband or your significant other. Can you leave that there and go home and be the role of the husband, be the role of the wife, be the role of a father, mother, without bringing that work into the house, that stress into the house? This is what I mean by making a distinction, drawing a line, healthy boundaries, limitations. I had to learn all of that. I really, really had to learn all of that. And like I said, it was so powerful and empowering and enlightening that life started getting better for me. Started saying no to a lot of things. I didn't have to wear so many masks and perform for so many different roles for so many people. That's exhausting. Let me tell you something. That is exhausting. It took me a while to understand who my authentic self was, how I wanted to live, what I wanted in my life, what I didn't want in my life. How, when you have all this money, you're making this six-figure salary, are you looking to the future? Are you buying a piece of property? Are you investing? Or are you just going out there and just spinning because you can? everything comes to an end. So I thought that I would just jump on here and that I would just, bring some awareness to my listeners. And I hope that you are listening and that you are sharing this podcast and that you are reflecting, having conversations with yourself, journaling. Life is to be lived. It's to be lived in a certain order, in a certain way. I am so glad that I am not in that chaotic mental and emotional state any longer. I am so happy that I was aware of the patterns that I kept repeating. I am so glad that I let go of a lot of people in my life that just was not going in the same directions that I was. They wasn't allowing me to be who I really am today. There was no encouragement there. I am so happy that I am striving to live a life each day with a purpose, with meaning, and it's not this rat race of just getting this paycheck. Woo-hoo. And thank God it's Friday. Oh, I'm so happy for the weekend, and let's do it all over again. This is Conversations with JR, and I am hoping that you are getting some meaning out of this. It is important to make the distinction between who you are, what you do, and the different roles we fulfill in life, and that you do not get lost in the expectations of society and the standards that society heaps on you as a human being that blocks you from thinking and getting to know who you are. Really who you are, who you want to be, what you desire to do, what you are created to do, and to live a life with purpose and fulfillment, and don't be fake and pretending. I thank you for listening. I hope you share. The best conversation that you can have starts with yourself. Until the next time.